Yo, what's going on? It's Constant Cube. So if you've been checking your event page, you would have noticed that we are getting the newest Hall of Heroes, which is the Light Undine, known as Icasha or Icasha, however it's pronounced, when awakened. Alright, so we're going to quickly look through her skills. Her first skill, Light Drop, basically does absolutely nothing until she is awakened, and when she's awakened, it removes a beneficial effect as long as you, well, it's only one beneficial effect, as long as you land a critical hit, which is pretty useful. And then her second skill is Mind Shock, which basically it's a single target, full skill cooldown, which means they can't use, it's pretty self-explanatory, all their skills go on max cooldown, but it's only a single target. Okay, so now her third skill, Absolute Defense, removes 2 harmful effects off of a single targeted ally and makes that target invincible for 3 turns, which is, I'm pretty sure, the only unit that can do a 3-turn invincibility, which is pretty wild. And her leader skill increases defense of ally monsters with light attribute by 40%, which is a pretty big amount, but it's only going to be useful if you're running an entire team, obviously, of light monsters, which I don't know how many people do that. But anyway, we're going to move on to the early game usefulness of this monster. So I'm talking, if you're able to at least farm one of her, like if you're at least going to be able to beat the second stage of when this comes out, then you're going to be getting one of her. And what I suggest you doing is really just holding on to her for now. Unless you somehow got a Katarina early on, then obviously that's going to be good for her, because then she can give her the invincibility, and then with the invincibility she ignores defense. But chances are you're not going to have that, and her usefulness isn't going to be too great, mostly because you should be focusing on things like giants or dragons, and she's really not going to help too much in the PvE aspects of the game. But where she is going to really help, and why this is more of a later game monster, is Arena, Guild Wars, and RTA. I mean, if you're early on and you do still want to throw some runes on her and give her a go, she might be decent with that 3-turn invincibility. If you're trying to just protect a single target, you want to just like throw in somebody that's really squishy, and you know that the other team's going to target, then that could be useful. But really, later game players are going to find the most usefulness out of her in Arena, Guild Wars, and RTA, like I said. I wouldn't say she is the best invincibility monster to put in there with Katarina. I'm still going to go with the Water Horus. I'm going to take a look at his skills real fast, just to show you why. I can't find him. Oh, there he is. Alright, Kibazanuf. He increases the attack power and critical rate, as well as gives the invincibility, which is why he's going to be a lot more useful than the Light Undine, because that's just one less thing you have to bring into the battle with Katarina. Because if you're going to bring Icasha, then you're going to have to also bring an attack buffer and possibly a critical rate buffer if her crit rate isn't as high as it should be. And I think the best or most useful place to put this monster in is going to be Real-Time Arena, because she just has a lot of usefulness for like playing really slowly and like picking out your moves. Like all of her moves are pretty effective, like, especially that first skill where you can just, alright, who do I want to, you know, remove the immunity off of, or remove a shield off of, or whatever. And then if somebody's about to die, then she just throws that shield up and that person's safe for 3 turns as long as it doesn't get removed. Alright, now we're gonna move on to what runes I think you should put on her. And I would definitely go Swift or Violent, and I would try to get as much speed and crit rate as possible on the substats. Yeah, because you're gonna want her to get as much turns as possible, and don't put her on violent unless you can get close to 200 speed. Her base speed isn't the greatest, but you still might be able to get there if you are a later game player and you have the runes for it, obviously. I don't know if I would prefer one over the other, but I know personally with the runes I have, I would probably go Swift, just because I don't have the greatest violent runes, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in that same boat. Anyway, for the 2 set that you're going to want to put on her, it really can be anything you want. She's sort of like a monster that you can, you know, just make her any style you want. You can either put her with immunity, you can make her have more defense or HP by putting guard or energy runes, you can put shield. Really anything works with her on her 2 set. And you could even go will and then double shield or something like that. Like that could work, as long as you have really good 2 what is that called? 2 set runes. Alright, so for slots 2, 4, and 6, if you're new to the game, the main stats you have to worry about when runing a monster is on slots 2, 4, and 6. And on slot 2, you're always going to want to make sure you have speed. That can't be a percentage, so it's always going to be flat speed. And then slot 4 and 6, you're going to want either defense percentage or HP percentage. You can either mix them, make 1 defense, 1 HP, or you can go double defense or double HP. Honestly, I would prefer to go double defense, just because her leader skill gives her 40% increased defense, and she already has pretty decent base defense to start with. And yeah, like I said before, you're also going to want to make sure her crit rate is as high as possible, but make sure you get that on the substats, because I think it's going to be sort of a wasted stat if you make her too squishy, because then she's not going to be in the battle long enough to get the full usefulness out of her. Alright, so now the last thing we're going to talk about is she food? And when I say that, I mean, is she food for the other Undines? And to be honest, I think she is only food for either herself or Delphoid, because the other Undines, I just don't think they're as good, and Delphoid, in my opinion, is the best Undine you can possibly have. And I think Icasha could be a close second. I haven't really seen her used, but just looking at her skills and looking at her potential, wouldn't be a bad unit to use the other Undines that you get from farming this Hall of Heroes, using it on her and getting that invincibility to be reusable a little bit faster. Alright guys, so that's about it for Icasha, the Light Undine. Thanks for checking out the video, keep on farming, and adios.